So you finally managed to find the 4 other people still playing New World and group up. This is the moment you've been waiting for. An MMO where at least the second M is in use. Somewhat. You put your big boy pants on and whipped out your highest mastery weapons, and it's time to enter your first or 5,000th dungeon expedition. But do you really have any idea what you're getting yourself into? Okay, so everyone knows the tank is the first fight, right? You just gotta aggro the 4 It's not real. Yeah, no, I didn't think so. So the January patch dropped a little while ago, and our Lord and Savior Scott Lane has promised a better PvE experience for New World, making now just about the perfect time to make sure that you're up to speed with the game. First off, what actually is an expedition? It's a dungeon. All you really do is take a group of 5 people and, using the traditional MMO Holy Trinity of a tank, a healer, and 3 irresponsible freeloaders, you enter into any of the instanced content, and just like any good home invasion, you do your best to not die while murdering the elite inhabitants for their stuff. There's obviously some bosses, some loot, and some tactics you have to learn along the way, and when it's all over you get to say some nice words to each other and go your separate ways, having obviously become better people than you were before. Now, before you enter any of these expeditions, you've got to have your bare essentials in mind. You've got your Azoth staff from your main questline that you've got at the correct tier to open all the doors if you have the insatiable need to be the star of the show.
Do you feel blame?
And of course your orbs, because your expeditions are stored in the balls. If you don't end up having that last one, well then you better find yourself a carry hooker who's willing to put in the work and effort for your hard-earned gold. And if it turns out that you're too broke to afford that, well then you better get down to leveling that stone cutting skill so that you can sell yourself like the cheap, expendable, dirty little slut. But there are a few other limited ways that you can get to these expeditions, like the use of open world quests, or the faction vendor if you're specifically looking for the mutated ones. But generally it's going to be about money or stone cutting. And there you go. That's all you need to know. Now fly and be free. Open those doors and grind those dungeons. Become a gearing god. Wonder what it was all for while watching some guy just exploit the shit out of the game while you play properly. But what if you're one of those undiagnosed elitists that need just a little bit more than that needs every little detail? Well then, this part of the video is for you. Let's not waste any time on the simple stuff. Want a tank, heavy armor, sword and shield, slap carnelians on every weapon for that extra aggro, and make sure you're mostly a constitution build since you'll be spending almost no time doing anything but waiting around with your shield up. Now, I would recommend this build, but I'm also not your dad, so do whatever you want. Want a DPS? Strength, int, and dex builds are what you're looking for. Since there's too many to pick just one, I recommend thinking for yourself. Pick between ranged and melee and try your best not to be too much of a burden on the people who actually matter. Want to heal? I recommend not doing that. But if you're not going to listen, then you can wear any gear that you want, as long as what you want has focus attributes and cooldown reduction. Build like this, or this, and you're good to go. If you're doing basic dungeons, food is recommended. If you're doing anything above that, honing stones and coatings are recommended too. Now in New World, there are 6 expeditions to choose from. No, not at endgame. I mean total. There's only really 2 proper ones at endgame. 3 if you're feeling really lenient and you count that borderline one. And no, arenas don't count as expeditions. Same thing, but they're just a standalone boss fight. So if you want to know what they are, there's Amarine Excavation, zombies, ghosts, and unpaid interns going postal. Not much to say, but don't miss the chests and the resources by the waterfall. Starstone barrows, skeletons, and ghosts this time. Damn, Amazon really be switching up this game from the first dungeon to the second. Watch out for all those laser beams, and always assume no responsibility by making someone else carry the staff. The depths. It was so memorable that all I really remember was folding our former Captain Thorpe like origami before going outside and feeding my meat to an undersized creature. Also, don't forget about the chest that's hiding in the tree. Dynasty Shipyard. Quick trip to Chinatown. Mobs are spicy. Bombs are spicier. On your way out, make sure you shut down that wet market before we have another incident to deal with. Garden of Genesis. Bring a flamethrower. Also, this lady has massive balls. Make sure you hide behind them. And finally, Lazarus Instrumentality. Plenty of mini bosses here. Prepare to be separated. And for the final boss, Just stand in the middle and swing away. For those extra bonus points, you can really get your team to like you if you just refuse to move the beam to the orb. All these dungeons that could be counted on one inbred hand share a few similarities. All of them have quests that you can pick up if you care about being a little less poverty-stricken. And if you have the mental fortitude to do them more than once, they're repeatable. Each expedition comes with its own unique puzzle that's fairly challenging if you're under 4 years old. And doing these are a pretty good way to bump up your gear score. Now on to the newer stuff. AGS has gone ahead and decided that maybe launching with so little PvE content might not have been such a good idea, and now they're rushing to fix that problem. One of those solutions? The mutations. There's now a weekly mutator system in the game which takes old content and reworks it into old content with a shiny wrapper. This means that everything is exactly the same as before, but now enemies have new abilities, do different types of damage, do a little bit more damage, and have different resistances. Now, to get into a mutation expedition, you or someone in your party needs to have completed the normal version of the dungeon and got a hold of the codex. Then you'll need a mutation orb alongside that. At that point, just like intercourse, once you're in, you'll be scored on your performance. You'll obviously gain points depending on how good you smash, and remember, finishing faster makes you the real winner. Your base score has a multiplier attached to it, which increases or decreases depending on the clear time, the enemies killed, and how many times you wipe. Get a high enough score and you can move on to the next tier of mutations for a dungeon. Now, rather unsurprisingly, these mutations are a pretty incredible way to boost your gear score without even really thinking about it, which in my opinion at least makes it into content worth doing, since you're going into a run to experience something as opposed to going into a run to make number go up. Don't get me wrong, number does go up. It's just not the thing you're focusing on. At least for the first 3 or 4 times. The other rewards you can get are also pretty decent. The gear itself is not bad, the dungeon resources are nice, assuming that you get to them first, and the umbral shards make it so that you can upgrade some of your best gear instead of having to replace it with something that has a better gear score but definitely worse perks. Now, mutations themselves are actually surprisingly cool, and this is coming from someone that thought AGS was being lazy with this implementation. But they've really gone ahead and nailed it, and hopefully this does open up New World to more varied types of content in the future. Now, if they could only get to start fixing the PvP, that would be great. You know, the part of the game that's actually fun. Now, with all that being said, and if that's all you care about, I can send you on your way. Go enjoy your expeditions. But there is one question that might still need an answer. Are expeditions even worth doing? And my answer is yes, absolutely, if you're a PvE player. They're actually pretty fun, and there's a few hidden secrets here and there in each one for you to discover or skip over entirely. Boss fights are unique and fun to do when paired with the action combat system of the game, and it's pretty difficult to get bored doing them over and over again because Amazon made it such an absolute bastard to get into one of these expeditions that every time you do get the chance, it feels special. That is until, you know, they start selling expeditions here. And when they do, they're going to lose the remaining 5% of the people still playing. Now, keep in mind, though, are expeditions worth doing is a different question from do expeditions make New World worth playing? If you want an answer to the latter, well then ask me again later this year, because it's a step in the right direction, but right now it's just not enough. If Amazon really wants the PvE of this game to start shining, then we need more than just the same old expeditions with a new paint job of difficulty smeared on top of it. We need things like 10-man raids. We need more expeditions with the same level of quality as the ones we've got, or better. And would it really hurt that much to just toss in a few cinematics with a more heavily intertwined lore that goes alongside all these experiences? What I'm trying to say to you is that these expeditions are pretty good, but one crack rock does not a crack addict satisfy. So Amazon,
please sir, I want some more.
And if you've already bought the game and you've uninstalled it, or it's sitting in your library and you're just not playing it, well then it might be worth it to come back and just experience this. Or you know, you can try and wait until the middle of the year to see if the game is completely dead or whether they've managed to fix it. But that's what I've got for you today. Hope you enjoyed. Big thanks to all my subscribers, both old and new. And of course, a special thank to Wojak Gabrielli, who continues to assist me in being an MMO game-playing man-child with $5 a month. God damn, I really do have to fix up that Patreon at some point. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. More content soon. Bye.
Anime thighs when she opened up so wide, I got a twinkle in my eye. Asian pussy is so tight, I just really wanna pipe. Oh my gosh, she got them big ass titties, she's only 5.